Right. I only read 2 books in February that weren't for videos. Oh, the sun's just come out. I'm going to go very white. So I'm going to talk to you about these books. But then I'm also probably going to talk about the books I want to read in March that aren't for videos as a little TBR. Because otherwise it's going to be a very short video. The first book that I finished that was not for a video was my reread of The Hobbit. This is one of my favourite childhood books. I had the audio cassette tapes, and I listened to them on repeat. It was like the first hyperfixation that I really remember. So I've listened to this book many, 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 many times. I absolutely love my version. I cannot remember who narrated it. I don't have the tapes anymore. Please excuse Ratty, she is destroying something just down there. I love this book. I hated the films. You know that already if you see my my books versus adaptations video. But I wanted to make sure this still held up as an adult. So I did a little reread. My copy has been nibbled slightly from the house rabbits I used to have. But I still love this book. It is funny how your perception of a book gets warped over time. I talked a little bit about this in my January wrap-up, when I had finished The Fellowship of the Ring, because I'm also rereading Lord of the Rings via audiobook this time though. And there are lots of little details in this that I had forgotten. I don't think I've reread this since I was a kid. So when the Hobbit films came out and they were turning them into 3 films and were pulling all this material, I could not work out where they were pulling this material from because I had no memory of any of that being in the story. It is in the story, very, very briefly, because Gandalf just decides to fuck off for a bit multiple times to go and sort out this necromancer. So I feel less outraged at the films now for what they pulled from this story and created. I still think they didn't need to do that. It shouldn't have one film would have been fine. Maybe a limited series would have been even better. I'm mixing up my rants here. It still holds up. It is still a comforting, familiar, nostalgic read for me. I will continue to reread this every few years once I have forgotten the story again and all the little minutiae. One bit I had forgotten was that in the barrel bit, they are properly tamped down into the barrels. I knew this. I know I knew this. But as an adult reading that back, it feels much less cartoony and much more fucking hell. He just nailed all his friends into barrels and sent them down a river. No wonder some of them looked a bit dead when they came out the other end and needed a bit of waking up. An insane move. I really enjoyed this film. I really enjoyed the way that Bilbo's portrayed, because I think the films have marred my memory of this book, and I'm glad that I have now reread it and it is fresh in my mind. I definitely prefer the book to the films. Yeah. Then I read The Undetectables, which is modern day supernatural fantasy mystery. It's specifically a murder mystery. It's about these 3 girls who run a detective agency and their ghost friend who died in a cat costume and so has to wear cat ears and painted on whiskers for the rest of his life. It's incredibly queer, it's incredibly funny. Courtney Smith gets banter, just understands the banter that young people have and the stupid in-jokes and the way that they speak to each other and the way that they bully each other because they love each other. It was brilliant. There is fantastic chronic illness representation in it. It's a really cool atmosphere. The world building's really interesting. And I couldn't work out who did it until just before the reveal. So that's always a good measure of a good mystery book. It's a little bit long, but yeah, so worth it. It's so good. It's on Everand if you've got Everand, and so is the second book because it's a duology, and I think it's just a duology and not a trilogy. I need to double check that. I am currently reading the second one, but I stayed up till stupid o'clock in the morning to finish this book. It was so good. I loved the characters, the absolute backbone of the book. It's just brilliant. And there's a good conversation about how you mix science and magic when looking at forensic work and things, and I really enjoyed the way they did that. It was really simple to understand. It made a lot of sense, and yeah, couldn't recommend more. Stellar books. The reason I'm reading so many good books is because I am fucking DNFing anything that is even a little bit boring at the moment, and honestly, if that's how I'm going to live my life, just reading fantastic books, I think I can put up with that. So what am I looking at for March? Now, I've had 2 arcs come in I was lucky enough to be sent an ARC of Incidents Around the House by Josh Malerman and The Butcher's Daughter by David Demchuk and Corinne Lee Clark. So, Incidents Around the House sounds like a haunted house with an imaginary best friend who may not be imaginary. That's the idea I'm getting. This is not the release, this is the paperback release, which is exciting anyway, to be sent an ARC. And then The Butcher's Daughter is the hitherto untold story of Mrs. Lovett from Sweeney Todd. So I'm thinking I might need to rewatch Sweeney Todd before I read this book, just to get myself in that mindset. And also, it's been a very long time since I've seen that film. But it's also told in letters. It's from the point of view of a journalist who's trying to track down the infamous Mrs. Lovett because she believes she's found her but wants to fact check that she's got it right. So I am excited about both of these. I will be writing reviews on the Fantasy Hive for them, but I will also do little wrap-ups for them once they're done, assuming I don't DNF them. Fingers crossed. I want to enjoy these. And then my friend at work lent me Sally's Lament, a Twisted Tale novel. So it's Nightmare Before Christmas, but what if Sally discovered Christmas Town instead of Jack? Also been a very long time since I watched this film. So I might have to do a little rewatch of that before I read this as well, because otherwise I'm not going to know who anyone is. I've seen these Disney books around, but I'm not much of a Disney person. The only reason I'm picking this up is because it was recommended to me by my colleague, and we have quite similar interests. So I'm excited to see where this goes. And then I have 4 million other books on my TBRs for other videos. So I'll be reading those too, but you'll find out about those fairly soon. At least one of the vlogs will be coming out this month, potentially the second next month, but the other one, it could be a couple of months because I've got some releases that haven't been released yet on that list. So you might hear me talking about this gigantic fucking vlog for a very long time, and I'm so sorry if that gets annoying. Anyway, thank you for watching this very short video. Yeah! Oh, no. Come here. I know she's just going to kill me now. Okay, yeah, thanks for watching this video. Like and subscribe and all that good stuff if you want to. I have her. Yeah, okay. I've got to go look after the cat now. But I will see you in my next video. Leave me a little book emoji in the comments if you made it this far. And I'll see you later.